with us. This was absolutely wonderful, and I guess one of my first questions is what drives you? I mean, the fact that you're obviously here giving back to the community. What's your driving force behind that?
You know, like I said, I didn't have this sort of guidance. I didn't have this sort of contact, and for me, it's just to be able to let them know that it's real. You know, that it's not, this business is not some ethereal thing that exists in some world that you can't get to. It's a real thing that has a real path with real skills, and that if this is what you choose to do, that you can learn how to do it. That it's not something incredible or amazing, it's just something that isn't popular in terms of a choice of things to do. And then there aren't a lot of people who are able to say, and here are the steps to being able to do this thing.
Right. So you're more or less like a mentor every time you have the opportunity to come before. Do you speak before the young?
I've done it a couple of times, and sometimes I'm even talking to I'm talking to young adults. I've done sessions at colleges, and and again it's the same thing. Sometimes they're a little more advanced in terms of their knowledge of the business, but even their understanding of the craft and what they'll be up against in real scenarios versus what they think is a great idea and why they think everybody ought to love it when they're sitting in a room by themselves.
Yes, yeah, people empowerment. Well, I mean, I don't want to take a lot of your time because, again, your presentation, I could tell that it was just very, very heartfelt. If you could summarize for people that are aspiring to communicate their talent, because that's one of the things you talked about. It may be that they maybe didn't articulate themselves where people get their message. What would be some of the key points that you say if you want to be successful, if you want to get into not necessarily TV, but any of the goals or objectives that you might have in life? What are, I'm going to say, maybe 3 to 5 critical points that you would say are makers for success?
Yeah, I don't even know if it's that many. Well, a few things. I've said this to people a lot of times. Forget about your strengths. Know your weaknesses.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people focus on I'm great at this, I'm great at that. Very few people go, here's what I'm bad at.
Okay.
And here's what I'm going to work on so that I can shore up, my skill set and have just a more rounded, be able to deliver a more rounded experience. Focus. I meet a lot of creative people especially, but young people who, they want to do a lot of things. And the way that I phrase it is I say to them, do one thing well.
Okay, great.
If you do one thing well, it will create the opportunity for you to do other things.
Yes, yes.
I'm going to be a rapper and an artist and a painter and a singer, not all at once.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely agree because I've got all these visions and I'm like, okay, I don't want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. It's like you have to focus on one thing and make sure that is not mediocre because you're trying to do so many different things at one time.
Yeah, I mean, after you've shown that you can execute one thing well, you will get the opportunity to do other things. Because what people are then focused on is your ability to execute and complete and see something through. So there's that. It's tricky trying to figure out how to phrase this, but understanding that everybody's not going to like you / agree with you. That doesn't make you wrong. And it doesn't make them wrong either.
Right. Absolutely.
It just doesn't. Yeah, I used to do stand-up comedy, and I don't know if you're familiar with Franklin Ajay.
That's my cousin.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's a small world.
Okay. So, years ago, this is 15, 20 years ago, I was talking to Franklin, and he told me, I just told him about some shows that I had done at a club in Miami, and it didn't go particularly well, and I wasn't happy about it. And his advice was, don't go there. He was like, don't go there. He didn't say they were a bad audience. He didn't say I should change my act. He just said, hey, what you do, they're not interested in.
Okay. Okay.
Neither one of us are wrong.
But wisdom.
It's don't go there.
Yes. Wisdom.
So there's that, understanding who your audience is. And I say audience in a global sense, but whether you're a lawyer or a doctor or an architect or a grocery store owner, they don't have the same groceries in Glendale as they have in Pomona. You want to open a grocery store.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Know your audience.
Know who's supposed to be eating this food.
Yep, understood. Understood. True.
So a lot of times people look at show business and they think it's a different type of business than other businesses. It's really not.
Yeah, business is business. Yep, absolutely.
Show business and suit business is the same business. They think that there's not a billion guys trying to come up with new kinds of soup. There are.
Right.
There's guys trying to come up with new soup right now. And one of them's going to make it.
Right.
Cream of barley with a little chicken in it and low sodium. How about that?
That's right.
That sounds like a good soup.
But it's good to constantly try and, I'm not going to say invent, but reinvent. Because you read new and improved, and it's like, okay, well, what was wrong with the last one?
Well, they put out Spider-Man 4 times.
That's right. That's right.
Let's do it. This is Spider-Man, but hear me out. We're going to do it again, but this time.
Right. And people will pay to go see it.
This time, he's going to ride a skateboard.
I hate that we're having to wrap up, but you
that's
hear all
okay.
the noise out there.
Yeah,
We're going to have a flood of
but
students coming in, but that's for you.
Thank you, okay, and on behalf of California Crusader News and the TFA, we are just honored that you invited us, and again, like I say, I learned something in there.
Oh, wow.
I really did. I really did. So, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Okay? Thank you. All right.
I'll stop it.
Okay.
Thanks for inviting me over.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.